All right, well, welcome back, IED students. One of the things that we're going to take a look at today is called an exploded view. So if we just do a quick Google search of exploded view, a lot of things come up: SolidWorks, OnShape, Drawing, Inventor. I just want to see some images of exploded views. And so there are all kinds of examples out here where there might be labels, there might be part numbers in balloons, but the idea behind an exploded view is that you take an assembly apart, and it's taken apart in a certain order so that you can see how the pieces actually go together. That's what an exploded view is. So we're going to spend some time in OnShape creating this exploded view. So let's open up our jacklift assembly that we've been working with. So this will be a really simple exploded view because this particular item only had 3 parts. But I definitely want to show you how it can be done in OnShape. So before we get to that exploded view, another item that I've discovered in OnShape is that we can look at interference. And interference detection is an important component when it comes to working with assemblies, because then you can see when 2 things are interacting in a specific way. And interference detection might be to indicate a problem exists, that perhaps something is missized. But another reason for interference detection is to make sure that things are interacting properly. Because if something has interference, like a screw and the screw threads in a hole, that's something that we do want to see interference in, because that means that it is going to be functioning properly. So over here in this box, this camera and render options, all the way at the bottom of that is something called interference detection. So go ahead and click on that. And it's asking us instances to analyze. So we do have to choose 2 parts that we're expecting to see some sort of interference or that we're trying to investigate. So I'm going to click on the screw as well as the top portion. And then it automatically shows us where some interference is taking place. So that's exactly what we expect to see, that for a screw to be tightening into something, it should be interfering in a good way. In a, hey, this is tight, this is working properly. So that's one cool thing to check out. All right, so let's get down to the exploded view. So the first thing that we're going to do is over here on the right, there are these 3 items. We've used the top one for the bill of materials table. So we already have that in place. But here at the very bottom of those 3 options is the exploded views. So go ahead and click on that. And then choose Add Exploded View, because we don't have one yet. All right, so it says right here that we are editing Explode 1. And it kind of tells us what to do. Build steps by dragging components. So I'm going to spin this back around to the, to the way that it's oriented. Select components in the graphics area or in the instance list. We call that the browser bar. Then drag or rotate them using the triad manipulator. Okay, so this top piece, if I click on it, it shows up with the 3 arrows for the directions. So then I can choose an arrow and drag it. So I want to pull that up to the top. And explode step 1, yep, I'm going to check that box. I think it looks good. The next item I want to pull out would be the screw. So I'm going to click on the screw and I'm going to pull it back away so that I can show how this thing gets slid in. And everything is separated, nothing is touching or overlapping or hiding something, and I'll click the checkbox. All right, so if we are done exploding and pulling all of the parts apart, go ahead and click Done. And you might get kind of panicky because obviously it didn't stay. Well, that's okay, because this is the original assembly file. And so we won't see the exploded view until we create another drawing file from it. So in the tab then, I'm going to go ahead and right click and create another drawing file of assembly 1. No views involved, and I'll click OK. And so right away, it wants to bring this in. But before you click, so don't click anything. Over here, next to insert, we don't want to insert the assembly. We actually want to insert the, the exploded view. So it's under this third one here, the explode or position, not the default. We want explode 1. That was the exploded view we placed. Okay, so it kind of gives us a look at the view orientation, and this is not ideal. So let's go ahead and change the view orientation. Isometric is definitely the way to go, and it's a little bit big. You can make it fit, but you might change the view scale to be like 1:3. There. Hit enter, and then it shows you that preview. So that just looks a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and place that. And we have our objects here. So let's go ahead and insert the bill of materials. We already had that created in the original assembly. So when we go to add it, it should already be populated. So there we've got bill of materials table. So we'll click on that. We'll decide where that goes. Right above the title block looks good. And that puts our bill of materials in there as well. The next and last option is to add the balloons to identify the individual parts so that someone who's looking at this knows that item number 1 is really the top and that this object is actually item number 1 and is actually the top. So the balloon options are right here. The balloon callouts is what they're called. And something I found last week is that if your window is too small, some of these options get kind of bundled up or bunched together. So maximize your screen to be as big as possible, and hopefully that shows up. Otherwise, you might have to locate it under a drop down somewhere. So we want to find the call out. So once we hit that, it's going to be referencing the table, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on any part and then click again to place that number. I'm going to click on the part and place the number. So all of these balloons should be done at angles. None of them should be perfectly vertical, straight up or down. None of them should be perfectly horizontal. So it's kind of the same with leader lines. And so we might need to get creative to, place the balloons in a certain way so that they are all diagonal. So once you have selected the items and placed those balloon callouts, that's all that we need to see. So go ahead and take a screenshot of your work that you've done here with your callouts and submit that to Google Classroom or send that to me in an email. And I'll see you in the next video.